Before we begin, I'd like to mention and expound on a few points, and that is the concept of Majlis-Sama. For many people, it's the first time they've heard of this terminology. First of all, it's an age-old tradition held by the people of knowledge from the early generations, where the people of knowledge would gather and read books with the intent to first listen and learn written works by the ulama, the scholars of Islam, go through the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obtain more knowledge, and gather for the sake of seeking Islamic knowledge. So Majlis-Sama has a rich old tradition, ancient tradition in the circles of Islamic knowledge. And it's something that is practiced even today in 1444, years after Hijrah, yani 2022. The point of it, there are many, like I mentioned earlier, to go through books and read books that normally you wouldn't read on your own. So it's a great opportunity to go through those books. Secondly, it is to obtain Isnād of those texts. We know the Isnād, our deen, first and foremost, our religion, deen of Islam, is singled out with many characteristics and virtuous attributes. Among them are three. Among these attributes that you find the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that you won't find in any other nation are three. The first being something called al-ansab, the lineage. Islam gives great importance to the lineage of people, something that is wasted among many other nations. The second being al-i'rab, grammatical analysis. You will not find any other language as detailed as Islamic deen and the importance that the Muslims have given to grammatical analysis, the syntax of the words in the sentences. And the third being the Isnād. The Isnād. You will not find any other ummah that gives as much importance to Isnād than the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For this reason, many scholars, they have mentioned that al-Isnādu min ad-deen, like the great scholar Abdullah bin Mubarak rahimahullah ta'ala, he said al-Isnādu min ad-deen, that al-Isnād, chains of knowledge, are from the deen. وَلَوْلَا الْإِسْنَادُ لَقَالَ مَنْ شَاءَ مَا شَاءَ. And if it wasn't for the Isnād, then anyone can say whatever they wanted. Anyone can say whatever they wanted. As we know, if you studied the Tanween of Sunnah, the compilation of Sunnah, early on after the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were many people who were attributing words and statements and affirmations back to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So the Sahaba, subhanAllah, they started to see that they were fabrications. So they started to ask, name your men, sammu lana rijalakum. Name your men. Where did you hear this from? Naam, they wanted to know, what is your Isnād? Did you hear directly from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or did you hear through someone else? And if you did hear from someone else, what is their condition? Who are they? Are they a Sahabi? Are they a third party? Are they someone who never met the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Are they unknown? So they started to investigate. The concept of Isnād was established early on. Now, in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, إِن جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. And in Qira'ah it says, فَتَثَبَّتُوا, that if there comes to you a fasiq, a wrongdoer, evildoer with any type of news, then confirm it, then verify it, make sure it's true. This is a commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Isnād is from the deen. The Isnād is from the deen. Naam. And as mentioned by Sufyan al-Thawri, al-Isnādu silāḥu al-mu'min, that the Isnād is the weapon of the believer. فَإِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَهُ سِلَاحٌ فَبِأَيِّ شَيْءٍ يُقَاتِلُ. So if the mu'min doesn't have any weaponry, any type of arms to defend himself, to fight, then how can he fight others? How can he defend the deen? And then many other statements from the ulama that show the importance of al-Isnād. And this is one of the benefits of attending these Majlis-Sama, is to obtain Isnād in these books. Of course, Isnād is of different levels. Al-Ijāza, the concept of Ijāza, of different levels. Isnād of the Quran is the highest. Isnād of the Quran is the highest type of Isnād you can have, especially in today's day and age. Then comes the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then comes the books of the scholars. Now, just as the text, the revelations have been preserved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and has been investigated by the scholars of the deen. Likewise, the books, there are isnad in the books to make sure that what we are learning is authentically attributed to its author. And this is one of the benefits, once again, of attending these gatherings, Majlis-Sama, to make sure that we learn the book as it was intended and written by the author. And of course, when it comes to isnad in these mutun, it's not from min sulb al-ilm, but rather it is from the mulah al-ilm, meaning that it's something that is to beautify. It's not the essence of knowledge. When you obtain isnad in these books, it's not a evidence to show that you have knowledge of that text. It's not from the foundations of that knowledge. It doesn't prove anything. All it does is proves that you have a isnad back to the author. And it's not a tazkiyah. It's not a recommendation to teach the book. It's not any type of praise for that individual by itself. It's just there to show you that you have an isnad back to the author. طيب? So we have to differentiate between this and know this, that this is not an evidence for you to teach or a proof for you to teach or a license for you to teach this manzuma. Rather, there are other methods, other things that are given for that purpose, like a tazkiyah, for example. And it's something, Allah Musta'an, you find that some students, I'm talking about students like in the Arab world, some of them, they miss out on, and they think it has no benefit. And they think it's a waste of time, just sitting down for a couple of hours and just reading books. And the reader might be reading extremely fast, so they find no benefit in it. And that's a mistake. That is a khasara, in fact. It's a true loss. There are many benefits, as we highlighted earlier. One, you get to read books normally you wouldn't read on your own. Two, you review knowledge in the gathering. Thirdly, you are gathering with the people of Iman, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. مَجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بُيُوتِ اللَّهِ. There's no people who gather in a home from the homes of Allah, يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُم, reciting the book of Allah, studying it between them, except that نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ, except that sakina, tranquility descends upon them, وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ, and they are enveloped with mercy, وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, and the malaika surround them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions them with others. Naam, studying the book of Allah, these books that we are studying, these books of knowledge are derived from the Quran and Sunnah. It's not only exclusive to the Mus'haf, faqat, only studying the Mus'haf and reciting the Mus'haf in the Quran alone. La, it includes the Mus'haf and anything that's derived from the Quran. Gathering to study knowledge is under this hadith. And it also applies, as I mentioned, I asked my Shaykh Muhammad Ali Adam Ethiopi, may Allah have mercy on him, in our local masjid when he was alive. This is the first question I asked him. Does this hadith apply to gathering outside of the masjid, for example, in the school, in the university, in a building, online, even online? He said, "Naam, this hadith applies to any gathering where knowledge is studied." So we hope that we will obtain these blessings as well. Naam. So that's the first point I wanted to highlight, the concept of Majlis-Sama and the importance of it. There's much more to be said about it, but we'll suffice with this.